it is your buddy Peace and Harmony with you here today. Much love going out to all the beautiful empowered harmonizers. And we are zooming in and focusing in today on a great viewer question, and that is, why am I so attracted to this type of individual who is manipulative, who hurts me, who has now got me basically obsessed or feeling addicted with them? And why is it so difficult to move on? Why is it so difficult for me to feel like my life is normal, or that I can't really get back to the old me that's happy going after what I want? And so to understand the difficulty of moving forward is to understand really what the psychopath excels at, to understand the how, the why, the where, and how this has impacted you. So it's really being able to dissect the experience, and with that understanding, then you have the ability then to let it go more easily and to move forward. So to look at that is to understand, what does the psychopath do well? What is it that separates them, or really they have the ability to distinguish themselves separate and distinct from others in terms of this skill, this antisocial personality trait? We are not treating or diagnosing anyone on this channel. So it is to understand really from an informative state how you can understand what you have experienced, and furthermore help you in your life moving forward, how to identify and protect yourself from these manipulative and damaging sort of individuals. So to understand someone who is psychopathic, who is antisocial, is to understand that they have a very, very unique and specific ability and skill or talent, or however you want to assess it to them or determine this individual, but they have the ability to get other people to do things against their will, against their better nature, against their betterment, against what is really good and proper for them, against their will, against their best interests. They have an ability to sway people, to abandon their standards, to go against their will, which is your will, your free will is what you're trying to restore. So that's why it's so difficult to really heal from this type of relationship, because it is that your free will which allows you to kind of get up and move and navigate through your life easily, clearly, successfully, which it's kind of that ability which has been hurt, which has been profoundly affected, destroyed, or maimed, mangled, left unrecognizable within you, and you have a difficulty then to re-embrace that free will after you have encountered a very toxic or manipulative relationship with this type of character. And so, however they might have accomplished this within you, character assassination, or really it's the ability for people to believe everything that they say. So for example, I'm going to give a comparison here. There is a great show on Netflix that I recommend that you watch called The Naked Truth. And it is set up by these journalists from Fusion, investigative journalists, investigative reporters, and they do different segments and they have different topics. And one that they did was on President or Mr. Donald Trump, and it talks about how he is, and I'm not labeling anybody, but this is very, very textbook and typical of a psychopath, that they are able to get people on their side just by telling them what they want to hear. So for example, Mr. Trump, had stated through all sorts of things like his Trump University that you'll become rich without your wildest dreams. You won't be able to count the money, it's coming in so fast. I am a billionaire. He told people these things that he wanted them to hear, but had no realistic backing, i.e., he wanted the press to call him a billionaire, even though he was not a billionaire. He instructed reporters to say, make sure you tell people I'm a billionaire. And this journalist from this other magazine was like, sure, okay, we'll do whatever. So he got people to do these things, really just to do whatever and tell people whatever it is that they wanted to hear. And the psychopath, that's how they get people to bend and go against their will, is because they promise things and just tell things that people want to hear, and they really tap into that dream within you, even though there might be no reality of you fulfilling it. I mean, being rich within your wildest dreams, it's just, and this will happen to you in the next 2 months. He told people what they wanted to hear, and the problem is then you've got people all over the world who will buy into that. I will be rich, in 2 months. I'll have 6-figure income coming in every month. I will be like Mr. Donald Trump. And, he has created this as a brand for him. It's and there's all sorts of, legal lawsuits against him, and it does not bother him. It does not bother him whatsoever. He always then compares it to somebody else and says, well, it's the economy, or there's all sorts of other people, and I have great assets. So he's able to explain away all of his mistreatment or misrepresentation. And so it is to understand this quality or this talent is just a snippet of an example. And I recommend that you watch that show. Or is it The Naked Truth, or is it called Dirty Money? I think it's actually called Dirty Money. I highly recommend that you watch segments of both of those to become better informed and educated. And Netflix is very inexpensive. It's like $8 or $9 or $10 a month. I believe anyone, can really sign up for that. You got a 7-day free trial. So definitely look at that. But it is to understand, and also as reported by Dr. Martha Stout, that this is a very, textbook quality that you see within them. And it's the charisma that everybody wants to go along with. In other words, they'll tell people what you want to hear. So whatever it is you wanted, you're the most, handsome man. You're the most rugged provider. You are the most beautiful woman. Let me get the door for you. Why aren't you, have, multi-celebrity status, or whatever it is that your weaknesses are, they're able to tap into that. They are able to scope that out and just literally tell you whatever and then make it so. So, they have the ability to say whatever it is that they want people to know. In other words, like if I were to be the president and just say, we're going to wipe out the debt in 2 years. He has no ability or realistic policy to be able to do that, but he will just make these declarations as if it is so. That's an example of what a psychopath does. What are you going to do in the next project? We're bringing in $500,000. How many clients do you have? I have 20. I mean, they will say whatever it is that will get them where they want to go. And they feel that this is business. This is life. This is normal. And then they'll get you then to feel and act against your will and fulfillment of that promise. And yet these individuals are highly irresponsible, and they do not back up. They do not have the ability to plan realistically, and they don't feel a sense of remorse or guilt when they're falling short of their commitments, their goals, what they've said. It does not matter to them. To them, they're just like, well, this is business. Like, what's wrong with you? And so this is how they're able to get people onto their agenda. They are able to use this trickery, this deceit, this enigma, this puzzle, which is they're so confident, and they have this eerie confidence about them. They have a compulsive control. They have this constant charisma, this compulsive charisma that they feel, that they are entitled to by virtue of this disorder within them. So even though it causes other people to suffer, they do not suffer as a result of their disorder. Dr. Martha Stout. one of the very unique diagnoses that people will undergo where they don't inherently suffer. In other words, even someone who is narcissistic, they're going to suffer to some degree, that they have a lot of failed relationships, and then they might be, back on the road to more supply, or they might, not feel like people are making them look good enough, and then so they will struggle and suffer for some degree. And just like, someone, a diagnosis with fibromyalgia, they're going to suffer. Someone with a cold, a virus, a stomach issue, they're going to suffer. So it's really one of the rare, disorders where the individual actually does not suffer. Other people's suffering are what is the pronouncement here. That is really how it presents, because people are then exploited at the hands of this individual, their website, what they, how they present themselves. And another key issue where they really get people to go against their will is that they will then entrap them. In other words, use the smear campaign, the character assassination, where, subtly or overtly, where, you're not with the group. In other words, you will fail if you're not with me. So they have this ability to make that as part of their personality, or what it is that their charm is about. It's like a pathological charm, if you will. It leads people astray. And it's the ability to then, go against your own free will in order to follow, in order to be in, or be loved, or have affection, or have status. Like Donald Trump said in his interview, or the journalists who have studied beside him, very fascinating. I do believe it's called Dirty Money. You can check that out. And I apologize, I don't, I bring a lot of resources here, or a lot of analogies, but this is something that you can follow up on yourself if you're interested. But for example, those people who have worked with Mr. Donald Trump have said that, part of his qualifications is you have to have the right DNA. In other words, you have to be attractive. You have to be that go-getter. You have to have that numbness and that aggressiveness to do whatever it takes to get the job done. And, he lied about his bottom line. He went bankrupt. He called his businesses highly successful. They went bankrupt several times, where he lost, but yet he did not feel remorse or regret. He just kept going. So most people would be like, oh my God, like I haven't paid 200,000 contractors. I'm behind 500 million in debt that I owe people. Most people, like, they would not be able to sleep at night. They would be sick to their stomach. Mr. Trump is just like, he's not affected. He does not flinch. He does not flail. So this is a good parallel. Again, we are not diagnosing or treating or labeling any such people, but I want you to see the objective resources in how this has occurred and how it has affected your life, and why it's so difficult to move on, because you had this, it's like, I call it like a self-violation, but this is their talent. This is what makes them who they are, and quote unquote, I'm going to put that in parentheses, good or talented. This is what they do well. So it's to understand that, and then to see that actually as a trap. I mean, it's like walking through a beautiful garden and then not seeing the roses, and like walking along the path and then it just bottoms out. You think it's a solid path, but underneath the cement, it's really just like crumbles away, and then you fall beneath to the depths, to the abyss. It catches you by that surprise, and then you don't know how to get out. Or it's like a trap. If you've ever, like, imagine, walking through a field, and then all of a sudden there's grass laid out and there's no foundation. There's no foundation of conscience within this individual. And really, conscience is part of your free will. I feel that that they're inextricably connected. Your conscience is a feeling. It's a drive. It's what is your free will is part of. And then your free will can get you into trouble. Your free will can liberate you. and your conscience likewise as well. So it's this experience of life that you need to reignite your free will, to take back your free will. And people might say, well, what do you mean? Excuse me. It's an energy shift. Your free will is an energy shift, which has been taken away from you. So most people, we can say everything comes down to energy, and how you feel. And so it is the reclamation of your free will that you need to restore to yourself. Even if you've experienced this in your childhood, your teenage years, your 20s, 30s, your adult years, it is time to take back your free will. And I really recommend watching those people, getting a mentor, even watching documentaries where people are really living their free will. They're living by a state of mission. They're living by a state of higher consciousness. In other words, I believe this to be so, standing up for human rights, where you can kind of get into some movements that are taking place. Begin to just watch documentaries or even unite yourself with movements, with things that people are marching about. We recently in the United States had a huge march and rally that was upheld, and really the participants were those teenagers who are in our schools in the United States, where we have experienced a huge proliferation and increase of gun violence and those atrocities and murders in our schools, in our elementary, junior high, and high schools, where children are, bringing these weapons and keeping a storehouse of ammunition and just taking out, their classmates, their teachers. And it's become a huge epidemic. And so recently, teenagers were marching on the Capitol in their local areas. You need to protect us. You don't need to protect the guns. You need to protect us. So it's getting the federal government, getting their cause, their movement in the eyes of the government, the large entity who's supposed to be here to serve and protect. So it's things of that nature, the opioid epidemic, which is a huge issue in the United States right now. And if you look at, what it really moves you, what stirs you, what gets your free will going, where you can be in touch with that, and that is your talent. That is what you do well. It's the ability to follow up on that. And like Stuart Wilde said, his teacher said to exercise free will, get up right now, walk 12 spaces to the right or, to the east, 12 spaces to the west, and practice this. This is your free will. Get in touch. Even though a lot of people have not responded to their own free will, it's very important for you to ignite that on a daily basis. That's what the recovery journal is about. That's what your recovery data is about. That is what your automatic writing, your recovery pages are about. It's about getting in touch with that. These are the tools to help awaken this experience within you. It's the tools to awaken this experience within you, which is oftentimes is very dusted over, where you can't quite see the light, where you have not been ignited, energized in this way. So it truly is an energy work, and then you begin to feel an awakening, an aha moment, a breakthrough, an energy shift where you go, OMG, oh my God, I get it now, peace and harmony. It's coming together energetically for me. I know, and then you feel inspired, and then you feel the breaking through, where you're breaking out of the perpetual loop that kept you stuck, and you're letting that loop go, and you're doing new things, you're feeling new things, you're breaking that routine, you're breaking that pattern, you're breaking those old habits, and you're reigniting, you're getting a new pattern, you're repatterning your feelings, your thoughts, and that which you focus on to the new. So for example, I have never been part of a movement. That would liberate me. I've never been part of a workshop. That would liberate me. I have never gone on to higher education. That would liberate me. I have never moved. That would liberate me. My cause in my life, when I really look at it, is this. And so you plug in your free will. So oftentimes that is the antidote, that is the solution, that is the experience will help you to break free 100% and ignite your passion. It is aligned with your higher conscience. This is your buddy, peace and harmony with you here today. You can do this. Live in your higher vibration, your higher energy, your conscience, your free will. Go and make your alignment with a mission. Educate yourself and inform yourself. Liberate that energy. I hope these videos do help. Please share and please subscribe for more great tools, videos, discussion, and support.